Toronto's first 3 mass vaccination clinics are ready to open.
The teams have been working around the clock so that we could be ready to vaccinate people as quickly as possible.
Final preparations as staff get set to begin administering the first doses in the morning. Plus,
I'm blessed that I can put my daughter to rest now.
The man accused of killing 2 teens in his Oshawa home nearly a decade apart is found guilty. We'll have more on the verdict as well as reaction. And
for more people to understand the Black community, definitely will raise tolerance and inclusivity in our school.
What a group of young people are doing to help foster a more inclusive and supportive environment for Black students at their Mississauga High School. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. In just under 12 hours, the city will be opening 3 of its mass vaccination clinics. At the moment, only those over the age of 80 are able to book an appointment. Jessica Ng is outside one of the clinics that will be opening in the morning. Jessica, how many people are they expecting to vaccinate there?
3 city clinics are set to vaccinate 450 people each day at every single site. Now, they're going to happen here at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. That's behind me. It's also going to happen at Scarborough Town Centre and the Toronto Congress Centre in Etobicoke. These openings are happening more than 2 weeks ahead of time, and that's because the city received enough vaccine to push those dates sooner.
So I'm going to ask you some questions.
Mayor John Tory getting a taste of what it will be like for those getting vaccinated at the Toronto Congress Centre beginning tomorrow.
And available in different languages.
The mayor joined on the tour by Dr. Eileen Davila and Fire Chief Matthew Pegg. 3 facilities, including this one, will operate between 11 in the morning and 8 at night. Immunizers will work in teams of 10, with each team responsible for 5 vaccinations per hour. Tory says these facilities have been preparing to open for weeks. Right now, appointments are reserved for people who are born in 1941 or earlier.
You could come and peer in the window here and see the furniture a couple of weeks ago that was ready to go pending our receipt of adequate supply of the vaccine itself. The teams have been working around the clock so that we could be ready to vaccinate people as quickly as possible.
The 3 clinics among 9 the city will be opening over the next 3 weeks. More than 19,000 appointments have been booked for these clinics so far.
As we move through the weeks and the vaccine capacity increases, there's a corresponding increase in our throughput in the clinic, the amount of vaccine we're able to deliver, so that will increase proportionately as we move forward.
Appointments at the new clinics are completely booked for the first 5 days, and health officials recommend you don't show up without a confirmed appointment. Those who are 80 and over can reserve their spot by visiting the city's COVID-19 website, which links to the province's booking system, or by calling the Ontario Vaccine Information Line.
The city says if you have mobility or accessibility needs, there will be help on site. Mobility aids and devices, as well as plenty of clinic staff, will be there to help you out. They say staffing levels are over and above at every single stage of the process, right from check-in and screening until you're done at the clinic. I'll send it back to you in studio now.
Thanks so much, Jessica. That was our Jessica Ng reporting live for us tonight. Well, Canada's National Advisory Committee has updated its guidelines on the AstraZeneca vaccine. It's now recommending it for all adults, including those over the age of 65. But in Ontario, it's still not clear when people in that age group will be able to book for a shot. The Premier says as guidelines change, the province is scrambling to figure out all the logistics. Lorena Redekop has the latest.
Yesterday, the first day, over 133,000 appointments were made.
That means half that many people registered, given that they book for 2 doses. The Premier says the issues some people had trying to book yesterday are now resolved.
We knew there'd be bumps in the roads, and a handful of people unfortunately received an error message.
Plus, a big federal change today saying AstraZeneca is safe for seniors. Right now, that's the vaccine only available for 60 to 64-year-olds in pharmacies and doctors' offices in pilot projects. Today, frustration from the Premier.
I can't begin to tell you the logistics behind it. It just messes everything up, to be very frank with you. It's good news, but man, we have everything set up, we get everyone lined up, and all of a sudden, without notice, today, now we can move the goalpost again. So now we have to change everything. It's not easy.
While new cases were just above 1,000 today, the variants are on the rise. That's according to the latest graphs from the province's COVID-19 science table, showing a spike in cases of the more transmissible variants, rising faster than the early version of the virus. The advisory table estimates more than half of Ontario's new cases are now due to the new variants. One member believes the most populous part of the province should be locked down.
At least for the golden horseshoe, it is inevitable. I hate to say that I hate lockdowns as much as everybody else does. I can't see any scenario, where we can do it without. The vaccines will not kick in early enough.
The reality is that, we shouldn't be talking about opening things up anymore. I know that conversation is happening.
The Premier says he'll take advice from the Chief Medical Officer. He has applied the emergency brake to some regions. The soonest that Toronto and Peel could be moved out of lockdown is Monday. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
An Oshawa man has been found guilty of killing 2 young women in his home nearly a decade apart. Adam Strong was convicted today of first-degree murder for the death of 18-year-old Rory Hache and of manslaughter for the death of 19-year-old Candace Fitzpatrick. Our Talia Ricci has more on the verdict and a warning. This story does include graphic details that some viewers may find disturbing.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I can put my daughter to rest now.
Rory Hache's mother says even though it was the verdict she hoped for, she'll never feel at peace after hearing the gruesome details of her daughter's murder.
My family's had to hear it. I've had to hear it. It's hard to get those thoughts out of your head.
The 75-page judgment took several hours for Justice Joseph DeLuca to read as he reviewed the evidence presented during the trial. Hache's torso was found by fishermen in Lake Ontario in September 2017, and police charged Strong in her death later that year. In his findings and analysis, Justice DeLuca said, "I am satisfied Rory Hache died in his apartment and in his bedroom, and that it was highly unlikely Strong would find her dead outside of his apartment and bring her home," adding that Strong had no means of transporting a body. He didn't drive or have access to a car. The judge also concluded Hache died of blunt force trauma to her head.
If I could have one more minute with her, I would tell her everything I didn't tell her enough while she was here. How beautiful she was, how smart and strong she was.
The months-long trial, which was in front of a judge alone, heard police were called to Strong's home in December 2017 after plumbers found a suspicious material in the pipes. Prosecutors said investigators then found the rest of Hache's body in a freezer inside Strong's bedroom. During their investigation, police said they found a second DNA profile on a large hunting knife, which was later identified as Fitzpatrick. Investigators also found her blood in Strong's freezer and in his bedroom. Justice DeLuca said while there was no evidence regarding Fitzpatrick's cause of death, he's satisfied her death was caused by Mr. Strong. However, he says there's not enough evidence to prove he intended to cause her death.
I'm very sad for the Fitzpatrick family today. Well, I'm relieved that we have first degree on Rory. I'm elated. It comes with some sadness too because there's more than one girl and we're not one without the other. We move on to awareness, right? Because this man blended. He blended in our community.
Strong's sentencing hearing is scheduled for April 21st. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
2 people were found dead in an apartment in Moss Park this morning. Police spent the day at this apartment building at the corner of Shooter and Parliament after the bodies were discovered in a unit on the 16th floor. Police found the bodies after residents complained about a strong odor coming from the unit. They say it appears the bodies may have been there for quite some time. We know that one of them is a man, but police say they have not been able to confirm the gender of the other person. At this point, police are characterizing this as a sudden death investigation. An investigation is underway to find out what caused a plane crash on Lake Simcoe that killed the pilot. He was the only one on board. His identity has not been released. The plane crashed into the ice on Lake Simcoe near Lagoon City just before 4 p.m. yesterday. The Transportation Safety Board has now taken over the investigation. The City of Toronto has launched a new program to get those living in 4 encampment sites into a hotel. The program, Pathways Inside, wants to transfer those living in Moss Park, Alexandra Park, Trinity Bellwoods, and Lamport Stadium to a hotel on the Esplanade. The city says nearly 1,400 people experiencing homelessness have accepted spots at indoor spaces since the pandemic began. Well, it was the move that rocked Toronto's last municipal election. 3 years ago, Bill 5 was passed, allowing Premier Doug Ford to slash the size of council just as candidates were gearing up for the polls. Today, that battle continued at Canada's Supreme Court. Lauren Pelly has more.
These were the crowded scenes outside Queen's Park and inside council chambers 3 years ago, while councillors and candidates pushed back on Premier Doug Ford's mid-election council cuts. Fast forward to today as another crowd gathered virtually to see this battle play out at the Supreme Court.
I'm finding a lot of hope in everybody who's joining in to watch this online.
The only people...
Ford wound up getting his way back in 2018, chopping the number of seats from a planned 47 to 25. But this thorny decision has been winding its way through the legal system ever since. At today's Supreme Court hearing, the province's legal team argued it was a free and fair election, while lawyers representing the city and other interveners suggested Ontario's Bill 5 was profoundly undemocratic, a move that pulled the rug out from under candidates trying to run.
It paints the picture of how unfair and difficult it is to really get into a position of power as a person coming from the margins, as a woman, you know, as someone who's racialized.
No one out there should want more politicians, I'll tell you that.
Ford stands by his decision, even going so far as saying former critics now agree.
I remember I was listening to the radio one day, and someone who was dead against it, Councillor Shelley Carroll, agreed it was the right decision. I almost hit a telephone pole when I heard that one.
There was a casual reference to, is this convenient? Yes, it is. But
not exactly, that councillor told us.
The case is about whether or not, once an election has begun, should a municipality be able to continue with that case. It's not about whether 25 or 47 is the magic number.
And with the next Toronto election just around the corner in 2022, this court challenge could have a lasting impact.
This has implications for every future election in every municipality in the city of in the nation of Canada, because we're all creatures of our provinces. But what's important is we should be able to start an election and know that the premier, if he just doesn't like the field of candidates thus far or the way things are going, he can just change things mid-election.
Now it's just a waiting game for a decision from Canada's highest court. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Still ahead tonight, I speak to two Mississauga students advocating for better Black history education at their school. Plus, Nick's here with a look at your forecast. Nick?
Warmer days ahead as temperatures approach the double digits. I'll tell you when in your full forecast after the break.
Welcome back. Some good news for parents. Next week, Toronto residents can register their kids for camp over spring break.
The city will be offering spring break camp TO during the now rescheduled spring break, which will happen in the week of April the 12th, which the province rescheduled to be the spring break week for students in Toronto.
The week-long program will have both in-person and virtual options. Kids 6 to 12 will participate in arts, crafts, and outdoor activities while maintaining physical distance and wearing masks. Now, the virtual option will be in the form of 45-minute interactive workshops. These workshops will be hosted in different parts of the country, allowing campers to virtually explore Canada. One Toronto mother tells us she's looking forward to the in-person option.
For the parents who their children are virtual learners, there has not been any break.
Registration opens next Tuesday, March the 23rd. And the city is planning for the return of active TO this year, which could include the addition of temporary bike lanes and curb lane patios on a major portion of Yonge Street. The program was launched last spring to promote cycling, walking, and running during the pandemic. The city is asking for it to be extended until at least next spring, but it won't include the most popular closure, Lakeshore Boulevard West, due to road work. You're looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline. Cloudy with a few clear breaks tonight. Currently 1 degree downtown. Let's go to Nick Sternkovich now with more on the forecast. And Nick, after a few days of sunshine today, a little bit gloomy, but at least the temperatures weren't so bad.
Yeah, temperatures a little bit above the seasonal mark today, and we're going to see more of that as we head through the next 24 hours. Can't say that much for the sunshine, though. It's going to take a few days to get here, but when it does, it's sticking around for a while. Here's a look at your weather headlines then. Cloudy but mild tomorrow. The risk for some Thursday showers. And yes, as promised, sunshine headed our way toward the end of the week, and that sunshine is going to stick around for a little while. We'll get to that in the long-range forecast. For now, here's a look at your daytime highs up to 4 degrees in the city of Toronto. Actually, 3.5 to be exact. Didn't get much better than that. Cloud cover sticking around for the better part of the day today, and in fact, even tomorrow we're seeing cloud cover. That cloud cover, though, is going to act like a bit of a blanket to insulate our temperatures. So at least in the city of Toronto tonight, we're looking at temperatures that'll be at about the 0 mark. When you head further to southwestern Ontario, as the sky cover clears out, we'll see temperatures drop down below the 0 mark. So it depends on where you are. Now, as we head into tomorrow, generally cloudy skies. We'll see sunshine in southwestern Ontario, Golden Horseshoe, West End, likely to see better sunshine than, say, the city of Toronto and areas further east. However, I do think everybody's going to see at least some sunshine through tomorrow, and how much we see is going to dictate our temperatures to a large degree. It does cloud over, though, into Thursday, and this is one forecast model's take on another system that's approaching. This one, actually a couple of the models keeping the rain showers to the south, but another couple pushing it just up into the GTA. So for the city of Toronto, we've got about a 40% chance of seeing showers on Thursday. Areas to the south and southwest, a little bit higher in terms of that precipitation. Now, winds pretty light as we head through tomorrow. Same story into tomorrow night. They start to pick up, though, again into Thursday out of the east as that system approaches. Some areas seeing gusts about 50 or 60 kilometers per hour. For tonight, though, calm winds, temperatures -3 degrees in southwestern Ontario. Tomorrow, double digits. Sunshine in southwestern Ontario. A little bit different out toward the Golden Horseshoe. We've got cloud cover tonight, so a bit milder through the overnight period. Tomorrow, though, that cloud cover also keeps temperatures down just around the single digits for the most part. If we see a bit more sunshine, though, on Wednesday, could see double digits. The risk of showers on Thursday and a long stretch of sunshine starting Friday that lasts all the way through till Wednesday of next week. Kelda.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Nick.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
If you're still feeling that winter chill, here's an undeniable sign of spring for you. Fruit trees in parts of Spain are in full bloom right now. These are peach and pear orchards in the Catalonia region. Usually these fields are filled with thousands of tourists this time of year. Workers there say the blossoms represent a fresh start for them, especially important after such a difficult year.
I'm Ismail Alpha, host of Metro Morning. Well, tomorrow marks 1 year since the province declared a state of emergency. So we're going to bring you a special edition of Metro Morning set mainly in Thorncliffe Park, a neighborhood that was harder hit by COVID-19 than much of the country. We'll find out what it's like to live there under a state of emergency 1 year later. Join me weekdays from 5:30 till 8:30 for Metro Morning on CBC Radio 1.
They are a group of young people that saw a need for their high school to better support Black students and decided to do something about it. Black Futures Lab at Mississauga's Our Lady of Mount Carmel Secondary School has been working hard since the start of the year to foster a more inclusive environment through education and discussion. I sat down with two of the group's members, Kaya Busby and Hire Dugasa, to talk about what they've been doing and why it's important.
Well, it actually started as an idea I had during this past winter break as I was reminiscing on 2020 and all the events that had taken place and how it had impacted the Black community and especially the Black youth. So many things happened the past year, and I think it was also traumatizing to some Black youth seeing all that racially based violence.
I feel like I was numb to it to a point, but then this time it was really in my face. And maybe I was also old enough to put everything into perspective, but it definitely changed a lot for me.
When school returned in January, Kaya Busby decided to form the group Black Futures Lab, quickly recruiting her friend Hire Dugasa. They wanted to create a more inclusive environment for Black students at Mount Carmel by educating on Black history and the Black experience, and providing a safe space for discussion. 80 students and staff signed up to join in the first week. The group has been holding weekly virtual meetings since. What are some of the topics that you guys touch on and talk about and discuss?
Yeah, so we've been talking about intergenerational trauma. We were watching a very interesting video about post-traumatic slave syndrome. We're debunking, is race real? You know, tough topics like that. To hear these different opinions, it helps you formulate what does it mean to be Black? What is your Black identity? So having these discussions have really, really been beneficial for me.
We also have our Instagram page, which is our biggest form of community outreach. We just finished our Celebrating Black History Month series, which included daily video presentations and posts about either historical milestones of the Black community or influential Black figures. And we also, over the past couple weeks, have allowed our students to conduct interviews with several influential Black Canadians, including Professor George Day, Hal Johnson, Trey Armstrong, the Honorable Jean Augustine, and Michael Lee Chin. And we also had an open discussion with the award-winning author Ian Williams.
And beginning next year, the school will be providing a new grade 11 course called The History of Black People in Canada, the result of a campaign by group member Jaden Dill.
It really hit me about a year ago when I was looking back on my high school experience, and I realized that I wasn't taught one thing about Black history.
For more people to understand the Black community, definitely will raise tolerance and inclusivity in our school.
I feel like the dialogue that we talk about is usually limited to just February and Black History Month. And what we talk about is usually the negative, slavery and things, colonialism, things like that. But it's important for Black students and really all people to realize that Blackness is much more than that.
They say it's also been encouraging to see students from all races and backgrounds join them in their fight.
One of my favorite quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King is that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So injustice towards Black people or people of color is a threat to human rights. So this fight for justice, equality, and equity involves all of us.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. Chris Glover has you covered at 11. Have a great night, everyone.